down as a slave, rises to sit upon a throne. A prisoner in chains becomes a ruler of nations. Joseph's life is not only history, it is proof of a law so powerful that no betrayal, no setback, no prison can stop the man who learns it. Think of it, sold by his own brothers, dragged in irons to a foreign land, falsely accused, forgotten in a dungeon. By every measure, Joseph should have been erased, another name buried in the dust. And yet those very defeats became the stepping stones to his crown. Out of slavery he discovered command. Out of prison he discovered wisdom. Out of betrayal he discovered favor. Why? Because hidden in Joseph's story are 12 timeless lessons, laws of character, of persistence, of faith that the world has forgotten. Laws that explain why some men rise in spite of every disadvantage, while others collapse though given every advantage. Laws that will decide whether you remain a servant of circumstances or rise to master them. Picture what it would mean for you to seize them, to walk through betrayal without bitterness, to stand calm when falsely accused, to hold faith when forgotten, to turn every setback into strength until destiny itself cannot deny you. That is what Joseph did, and that is what you can do. But beware, if you ignore these lessons, you will live as the multitude lives. You will see betrayal and call it your end. You will taste defeat and call it final. You will accept chains as permanent and prisons as destiny. You will remain where you are, while another man, no more gifted than you, rises above you by the very laws you refuse to learn. I will not hand you the 12 lessons now, for if I gave them to you at once, you would call them too simple, too old, too obvious. Instead, I will lead you into them one by one until the same fire that lifted Joseph from dungeon to palace burns in you, and once you see them, you will never again doubt that the slave can become a king and that you too were meant to rise. Lesson 1. The power of a dream declared. Joseph as a boy was not yet a ruler, not yet wealthy, not yet honored. He was only a youth, but he dared to dream. He stood before his brothers and declared that one day he would rise above them. They mocked him, they despised him, they scorned his vision, yet he did not bury his dream. He engraved it deeper because he understood that all crowns begin in the soil of imagination declared aloud. Every man who ever rose to greatness first declared his dream. Andrew Carnegie, as a poor telegraph boy, vowed he would master steel. He had no money, no power, no status, but he had a vision engraved on his soul. Henry Ford declared that he would build a car that every man could own. They laughed at him, mocked him, resisted him, but his declaration pulled his future into reality. Thomas Edison was told that light from electricity was impossible, yet he declared that he would find a way. He did not whisper it in secret. He said it, wrote it, burned it into his mind. That declaration gave him persistence when failures mounted. If Edison had doubted, if Ford had buried his vision, if Carnegie had silenced his vow, their lives would have been wasted. The drifter hides his dream. He fears laughter, so he buries it. He fears failure, so he speaks vaguely. He spends years wishing silently, never daring to declare. 10 years later, he is in the same place, his dream dead from neglect. The dream dies not because it was impossible, but because it was never declared. Law cannot obey what you refuse to command. Joseph engraved his dream so deeply that not even betrayal, slavery, or prison could erase it. Each defeat only pressed it deeper. That is why when Pharaoh called, Joseph stood with confidence. He had declared it years before, and the subconscious had already accepted it as law. His crown was born the day he spoke his vision, not the day he wore it. Say this with me: I declare my dream. My vision is law, my destiny is certain. I do not whisper, I do not hide. I command my dream aloud until it engraves my spirit. No man can steal it. No setback can erase it. My declaration pulls my crown into reality. Speak this until you feel the fire of your own vision burning. Carnegie rose because he declared steel as his aim. Ford rose because he declared cars for the multitude. Edison rose because he declared light. Lincoln rose because he declared union. Joseph rose because he declared rulership. Each proves the same law. Definiteness of dream separates the king from the slave. Without declaration, even freedom is wasted. The drifter will say, I prefer to be realistic. Realism is the language of slaves. Realism is drift dressed as wisdom. It kills dreams before they are born. The master refuses apology for his vision. He says, my dream is law. My crown is mine. My declaration is certain that man is mocked by the weak, but he is crowned by history. Here is your exercise. Write one dream you would dare command if fear were gone. Do not write a vague hope. Write it clear, bold, exact. Then speak it aloud nightly. Declare it until your subconscious accepts it. Declare it until your actions obey it. Declare it until law engraves it into fact. Do not whisper. Declare, do not wish. Command. Joseph's brothers mocked him, but his mockers bowed in the end. Carnegie's rivals mocked him, but his rivals served him in time. Ford's critics mocked him, but they bought his cars. Edison's skeptics mocked him, but they lit their homes with his lamp. The same men who laugh at your dream today will one day sit in the shadow of your crown if you persist. Say again, I declare my dream. My vision is law. My destiny is certain. I do not hide. I do not drift. I speak with boldness. I engrave with persistence. My dream commands my destiny. My crown is mine because my vision is mine. Speak it until you feel the chains of hesitation fall from your throat and your words roar like fire. This is the first timeless lesson, the power of a dream declared. Every crown begins in vision. Every fortune begins in declaration. Every destiny begins in definiteness. The slave remains a slave because he buries his vision. The king becomes king because he declares it aloud, engraves it within, and refuses to let it die. Which will you be? Lesson 2, turning betrayal into strength. Joseph was betrayed by his own blood. His brothers, consumed with envy, sold him into slavery. Imagine the sting of that wound. Family, the ones who should protect, became the ones who destroyed. Most men, broken by such betrayal, would surrender to bitterness. But Joseph did not. He transformed betrayal into the very fire that refined him for his crown. You too have been betrayed by friends, by employers, by companions who promised loyalty but delivered treachery. The drifter takes such injuries and nurses them. He repeats the story, feeds resentment, poisons his subconscious with bitterness. 10 years later, he is still chained, still speaking of the same wrong. He wonders why he has not risen. His prison is not iron, it is hatred. Joseph proved another way. He forgave. He released bitterness. He chose faith over resentment. That act freed his subconscious to serve him. Instead of poisoning his silent servant with hatred, he filled it with vision. Betrayal, instead of chain, became fuel. His enemies thought they destroyed him, but they became the very instruments that carried him to Egypt and into destiny. Abraham Lincoln was slandered more than perhaps any man of his century. His enemies printed lies, mocked his appearance, ridiculed his voice, accused him of weakness. Lesser men would have been broken, silenced, consumed with revenge. But Lincoln bore no hatred. He persisted with calm endurance. That freedom from bitterness multiplied his strength until he ruled a divided nation. Andrew Carnegie was mocked as a foolish immigrant boy. His accent, his poverty, his ambition were ridiculed. But Carnegie turned mockery into determination. Every insult was fuel for his vow to master steel. If he had wasted his mind on resentment, he would have died a clerk. By transforming scorn into power, he crowned himself with empire. Betrayal can break you, or it can build you. Resentment poisons the subconscious, while forgiveness frees it. This is why most men remain chained. They cannot let go of the injury. They relive it nightly, engrave it into their subconscious, and law multiplies it until bitterness rules them. Their betrayers win, not because they were stronger, but because their victim gave them his mind. Say this with me. No betrayal can stop me. Injury becomes fuel. My enemies build my crown. I forgive, I release, I rise. My subconscious is free. My vision is pure. My chain is broken. My betrayers are stepping stones. Their evil serves my destiny. I will not be poisoned. I will not be bound. I turn betrayal into power. Joseph rose in Egypt not in spite of betrayal, but because of it. Without the treachery of his brothers, he would never have reached Pharaoh's court. What they intended for evil became the very road to his crown. This is the law. The worst wrong done to you may be the seed of your greatest rise, if you refuse to be chained by resentment. Edison was betrayed by investors who withdrew support. He was mocked by rivals who sought to crush him, yet he refused bitterness. He kept his faith fixed on light. His enemies laughed until his lamp burned, and then they bowed. Betrayal served him because he turned it into fuel. Without betrayal, his determination would not have reached such fire. The drifter clings to injury. He says, "I will never forgive." He feeds resentment nightly, poisoning his subconscious. He wonders why his opportunities vanish, blind to the truth that his mind cannot serve both bitterness and purpose. He dies with chains heavier than those of Joseph's prison, because they were self-forged. His crown was lost not by enemies, but by hatred. Here is your exercise. Write down the names of those who betrayed you. Write the injuries. Then declare aloud, "I release this. I forgive. I turn it into fuel. I refuse poison. I refuse chains. Their betrayal builds my crown. Burn the paper or tear it." Let your subconscious know the chain is gone. Then fill the void with your chief aim. Say it again with fire. "No betrayal can stop me. My enemies serve my purpose. Their hatred fuels me. Their injury strengthens me. I forgive, therefore I am free. I release, therefore I am rich. I command my subconscious to carry only faith, only vision, only purpose. Betrayal cannot bind me. I rise above it. I am crowned by it. Lincoln endured betrayal of allies, yet remained calm. Carnegie endured betrayal of rivals, yet rose higher. Edison endured betrayal of financiers, yet built light. Ford endured betrayal of bankers, yet built empire. Joseph endured betrayal of brothers, yet ruled nations. Each man proves law. Betrayal can chain you or crown you. The choice is yours. This is the second timeless lesson. Turn betrayal into strength. Release bitterness. Refuse poison. Transform injury into fire. Forgive boldly, not for their sake, but for yours. Your enemies cannot steal your destiny unless you surrender your mind to resentment. Refuse, and their betrayal becomes the stone that lifts you to throne. Lesson 3. Faith in darkness. Joseph, once favored son, now stood in chains. Betrayed, enslaved, accused falsely, thrown into prison. By all appearances, his dream was dead. Yet he carried within him the one thing no prison could chain: faith. Faith is not hope. Faith is not vague wishing. Faith is a definite conviction that what you declared